We are actually on the way to Medicus and Randall's knee. We had our motorcycle not crash, but the slide. Is that what you call it, huh? Slide down the pavement. Yeah. So we are on the way to Medicus right now, and we had our helmet with us. And his arm is swells up.
We'll probably get some more sore.
And you will expect this to swell?
Yeah, it already has.
Yeah. In the next. So now we have to go back sa dito. Now we're going on the x-ray room.
Okay, so I'm going to show you what happened to me. I posted a little bit on the community tab or community page about my motorcycle accident. And so this video, I'm going to try to include some of that stuff. So I don't want to try to be too gross, but that's kind of what happened to my knee when I went down. See if I can, this is going to be an awkward camera angle here. So let's just, okay, so I had to turn it around, I can see. And that really wasn't too bad, but this part of my arm, it's still swelled a little bit. It's still tight, and that thing, it was like that. I was just, when I got up out of the street, I come up and I look at my arm, I'm like, oh my God, it's just like that tall. I was amazed. It's like a goose egg or something, man. And then my knee was standing up literally that high when I'm going in the taxi, and the taxi driver just kept staring at it. It really wasn't bleeding that bad. It just kind of, it's what they call road rash, and you fall on the pavement and slide a little bit, that's what you get. So this is the fun part. After, I've had a shower, I've got my gauze here, I've got my tape over here, my various medical supplies. And so I took this antibiotic cream, and this stuff's pretty sensitive. I mean, really it is. But at least I know it's clean, because last night I dumped hydrogen peroxide straight on it. And I've always felt that hydrogen peroxide was just like water, right? But I'm telling you, it's more like alcohol last night. I think the cut was a little too open for it. And then I put this stuff, I may be able to put the name of it in the betadine. Yeah, betadine. So that's what I got to do to cover this up. So basically I just take this gauze, it's just plain old gauze, and put it on there. You wouldn't believe how irritating that is. Just like that. So basically I'm just going to start taking this tape. If I can, skilled enough to do it one-handed here. Maybe I'm not. All right. I've got camera holders and stuff. How come I don't do that? All right, there's one. Maybe the next one will be a little easier. I don't want to get too much up on here. I want to get most of it here because I want it to hold. It says to dress this wound, clean it and dress it twice a day. Well, typical man, I didn't want to do that because it's kind of a hassle. Hold on, I'm just going to set it down. Yeah, Oh man, it's gonna be all right. I'll just top it out, right? So there's the next one, and the next one, gotta kind of watch that. Just kind of tape that down. I don't want to put the tape right on the, because then you got to pull it off your little bit of road rash. Which that, I guess that's still pretty raw, but I'm just gonna put a Band-Aid on that. So you're probably wondering, how in the heck did you have a motorcycle accident? Well, it happens sometimes, but actually, this is my first one. I've been riding motorcycles probably, I'm 61, be 62 this year, probably 10 years. Um, yeah, I'm just, it may be overshooting it a little bit. I'm not trying to enhance my motorcycle reputation or my motorcycle experience, but I think 10 years or less. Let's just say that. My first motorcycle was a 2010 BMW 650 GS. GS stands for something, and I can't I can't recall at this time. But it's, the bike was kind of geared for, they call it adventure, half off road, half on road. It's called a dual sport. It's in a dual sport class anyway. 650 is a one cylinder. Actually, the total displacement on it was the same motor as the 800, but somehow or other, I don't know, the horsepower and everything. It's a 650 G650 GS. It's a beautiful bike, and I sold it not too long before I came back to Philippines this time back in October. And I also sold I had another bike. It was a BMW K1200 LT, and the LT stands for luxury touring. I got that much right. The LT it's a big bike, a big heavy bike. It's 1,000-pound bike. I had all the extras. It's like you compare it to a Goldwing, a Honda Goldwing. Um, yeah, big, just cruising touring bike. But I found that it was so heavy, to be honest, and it's a pretty high. You sit pretty high on the seat. I could get the balls of my feet, on the bike. It was doable. But I'm telling you what, if you're sitting at a stoplight or you're just messing around out on the driveway, and you just turn that wheel slightly without even moving, or maybe just barely moving, and you tap the brake, it's going to go down. So I probably dropped that thing 3 times. Never did really hurt it. But anyway, I've never really been in a motorcycle crash. I have laid them over a few times, or an accident, whatever you want to call it. But this one in particular, we were on our way to Iloilo City. I was actually going to go to GT Mall in Pavia, drop off my bike, park it, and we were going to take a taxi all the way into the city, straight to the doorway of my general practitioner, and we were going to meet with her, and then we were going to go eat a nice lunch, and then we were going to just get in a taxi probably and maybe go to S&R or the mall, and then get in a taxi and come back. Easy, uh, stay air conditioned all day. I was just going to spend a little bit of money. It doesn't cost that much in a taxi. I think it was like less than $10. Or yeah, I mean probably $4 to $5 sometimes. Yesterday we took one back, or the day before. It was a little less than $6 from the city up to where we live, and then drop us off right at the door. So yeah. So anyway, we're going. We're gonna. I just got out of Pavia. I'd made my left, and I was going up through some construction, and it's a little more chaotic here. But construction in the U.S. can be chaotic too. But there was some uneven pavement, and motorcycles in the Philippines. If you've ever been here, you've ever watched video on it. Motorcycle riders, they just don't sit behind the cars and wait for them to move like a traffic jam. We'll go out, we'll go around. If there's a nice, clean, open space, where I can ride the bike through, I'm going to go ahead and do it without being too dangerous. I don't really. some of these guys, man, they'll just lane split and they'll fly between cars, and I'm thinking they're going to hit a mirror or something. I don't like to do that, especially with my wife on the back, and she was on the bike when it went down this time. So I'd made my left, and I was headed that way. Probably, I'd say I had to be going less than 20, maybe 15 to 20 miles an hour because it was kind of a traffic jam. And I could see up ahead it was getting clear, and I want to kind of get off of the little bit of side part of the road. They'd poured a patch of concrete that went alongside the main concrete road. So, and again, it's the Philippines, so uh, the concrete wasn't exactly level on the side road as it was on the main road. It's just kind of like a temporary patch until they get everything going, right? But it was nice because before it was just gravel over there and holes and stuff. So, they had improved it a little bit. Okay, so uh, I got over there and I was just in my mind. I was just thinking about because it was clearing out. I'm okay. I'm just going to get behind this car. I'm going to quit any lane splitting or any semi-dangerous activity, and I saw the car and I was thinking about making my move. I glanced in my mirror and I saw the car behind me was pretty far back. I could make the move. And I don't really think, and I can't really, in my mind, really remember because it all happened so fast. Uh, I think I was thinking about making the move. And if you've ever ridden, you kind of, even in a car, you think about stuff and your body's automatically going to start to make that move. So I knew I was going to go over, and I think what happened is I just started to drift a little bit, but then, and I knew it was uneven, but then it just drifted before I really had intended to. Now, where my tire hit the uneven pavement, I mean, it was a ridge about like that, probably a good inch and a half to 2 inches, and it was just straight like that. It wasn't worn off. It wasn't rounded in any way. So, and it's not a super long stretch like this, but it was enough that it greatly affected my life. So, anyway, I think I just drifted a little bit, and then the tire just caught that hard edge, that hard 90 degree, and just grabbed it and spun that wheel sideways in front, just like making a left turn. And before I even knew what happened, my head had hit the ground. She'd hit the ground. In fact, she got a little um, on her helmet where it put a couple scratches on it. She didn't get hurt, but yeah. So I'm holding on to it, and my forearm here was just against it hit the ground pretty hard, and my knee. I'm not exactly sure where it was at. I know it got injured. I know it came into contact with the pavement for probably, I don't know, 10, 12 feet. It wasn't like it slid a long way. It wasn't like, and I don't ever like to over dramatize. I could say, ah, man, I slid for 40 feet. I'm just not that guy. So, and then, of course, I got stopped and I'm just like, oh my God, I was in a wreck. And, it's still running. You know, I realized what had happened. I started to kind of get up and look around, and first thing I thought about was my wife. And I turned around and looked, and she was already standing up, which, whew, that was good. So there was a couple guys that run out there and grabbed the bike, and the most amazing thing happened. I almost forgot to put it in the video. I was still down there on the ground, and the first thing I did, because I'm thinking about getting up, and I looked up, and I see my brother-in-law, Michael, is standing right there. And it was the most unusual thing in the world because we weren't going on a trip with him. We had the accident. I looked up, and there's Michael standing right there. And you got to know Michael. He's a little guy, uh, but Michael's very capable, okay, in a lot of different things. And if you need something physical done, if you need some painting done, you need to fix something, uh, if you got a situation, you just need somebody to handle it. Michael's the guy to handle it, you know. And so, but you got to realize, you know, this is traumatic. I'm sitting down there, my knee, I don't even know it. I'm kind of afraid to look at it, afraid to look at my arm. I know I'm injured, not sure about my wife at that time, and all that emotion and that like trauma to your body and the shock of just being in the situation that you're in. And I look up and I see Michael, and you know, I'm not like a super spiritual guy, but it was like I looked up and it was like my guardian angel was standing right there. I mean, and I tried to explain that to him, and I'm telling you what, I felt at the very least, I felt very fortunate that Michael Basilio was standing right there. And, you know, all I had to do was to get up off the ground, and Michael was going to take care of it. You know, here's what he did. He got the bike, him and another guy got the bike up, got it off the side of the road. I went over and sat on it for a minute so we could get out of the traffic. And I'm thinking, I mean, I don't even know the extent of my injuries at this point. Uh, all I know is my arm right here had just like boom. I mean, it just swelled up, and I'm like, I'm thinking, is it broken? And I took my hand like that. I'm like, no, I was sure it wasn't broken, but man, why did it swell like that? I'm really not sure what I did with that. I guess I hit either the ground, hit the handlebar. I don't know. So So anyway, you know, got up and I'm sitting there on the side and I'm thinking, just what do you do? You know, I've got a motorcycle. I don't know whether it's drivable. I know I'm sitting on it. I know I've got injuries. I know I got to go to the doctor's appointment. Uh, and it was very important. And I'll get into that in another video. But wow, just to have Michael standing right there to help me out. And long story short on this, my wife said, Michael, just take the motorcycle, take it home. And his was there. He was actually following probably 4 or 5 people behind us. He didn't know we were there. We did not talk. We had not arranged this. He didn't know we were there. He had already pulled into this little store. I'd done a video on that store about some cheap products in the Philippines. Not this last one, but the one before that. He'd pulled up into that parking lot, and then there he's standing next to me. So he got the bike, and he took off with it. One of the guys that helped me on the scene there, he'd asked my wife, "Do you know that guy? He's taking off with the bike." So, yeah. And so first thing I asked the guy that was helping me, I said, "Where's the pharmacy? Where can I go to a pharmacy?" Because I wanted to get at least some gauze, some tape, or something. And he goes, "Right there." Well, I look over to my right, and there it was, right there. So we just walk in. I didn't have a lot of money on me, probably 1,500 pesos, and we're actually on the way. We're going to go to Robinson's Mall. We're going to get go to the ATM, pull out some money so I could go pay the taxi, get the doctor, eat a nice lunch. So I had to have money to do that, and so I had enough money to get, you know, I think we got some antibiotics. No, we got some that betadine to put on the wound, and I got a patch and kind of got propped up there for a little bit. And we went walking, and it wasn't too easy, but went walking to an ATM. Of course, it didn't work. It's just par for the course. So uh, we walked around a little bit, and it was getting hot. And I was tired. I'm like, I'm not really sure how long I'm going to last in this position. We hadn't had anything to eat, and you know, hadn't really drank any water, and it was hot. So, long story again, we jumped on this bus, and it took us up to GT Mall. And I'm sitting there in the front of the bus between like the driver's seat is over here and the passenger's over here, and I'm sitting on what they call the dog house, or the motor, the housing, and looking back at a passenger-ridden bus there in the Philippines, and my knees down there, and it's just kind of open, not like hanging open. It was just you could see the blood or the injury, and you know my arms all swelled up, and these poor Filipinos just looking at me. First of all, I'm a white guy, so I stick out like a sore thumb, and they're just looking at me and like I don't know whether they were concerned about me. They saw the blood. They didn't want to get, COVID-19. I don't know what they were thinking, but they were looking at me pretty heavy and probably just concerned. I'm sure that's what it was. So we rode up there and got out at GT Mall. And first thing I did, I said, I don't care how much money I got. I'm grabbing a taxi. We will work it out. So anyway, we got to the hospital, to the doctor's office. That's my general practitioner. You go in there, she'll schedule your labs. She'll give you advice about, your high blood pressure, whatever. She's a general practitioner. I kind of felt it important. I wanted to go ahead and try to get my doctor's appointment. That's where we was on our way to the doctor's appointment. Had to be there at 11 o'clock. So after all the confusion and everything, we actually walked through the door and sat down and across from the lady, the doctor you saw in the video, and it was actually 11 o'clock. So that I had to be thankful for that. And so what's amazing though, okay, if you went to a doctor's appointment where you live. Now, if you live in the Philippines, this may not be that unusual, but I considered just going to the emergency room because I thought, well, she's just going to tell me, hey, you need to go to the emergency room. We'll reschedule your appointment, or you can come back up later, whatever. Well, when I got there, sitting outside, and her little assistant, she comes out. She said, oh my gosh, what happened to you? And so she went in and told the doctor right away. And actually, the people were sitting across the aisle. They were doing the same thing as me. They're waiting for their appointment. And they said, oh, you take him first. Take him before us. Of course, I didn't understand it. My wife told me that's what they said. So I had to wait a little while, and they gave me an ice pack to put on my arm. I think you can see it in one of the shots that we got, and that helped a lot because that thing was just swelling and it was getting tight, and I was kind of getting numb in my hand, because of this up here was blocking some blood flow, and I got that ice pack and put on there, and that helped a lot. But what amazed me was when we got to go in, she sets me down in the chair, my doctor, and she just goes over to a little medical roll around tray thing that just sits there in her office all the time. I've seen it several times. She gets down and she starts pulling stuff off, and she goes to work on taking care of me. And you know, yeah, that's what she should do, right? She's a doctor after all. But I think if I would have made it that far to my doctor in the U.S., and he's a great guy. I consider him a friend, although we don't hang out. But he's a really good guy. But he would have said, "Oh, you need to go on down to emergency," and then I'd had that $2,500 bill, and they would have took care of me, and then we could have rescheduled my appointment. Not in the Philippines. Not in the Philippines. She she took care of me right then and there, as you saw in the little short clips. And that's very impressive as far as I'm concerned. I mean, don't like to use the word wowed. I was wowed. I was impressed. Uh, I mean, she cleaned it all up. We had the betadine already. She put that on there. She had some gauze. No, we had some gauze. She had some tape. She used her tape. And if you know anything about the Philippines, sometimes even in hospitals, sometimes you have to bring your own stuff. Like I was watching a video today. I'll mention real quick. Sorry, I'm going long, but the Texas Filipino. If you watch his channel, if you watch my channel, you probably watch his. If you don't watch his channel, watch his channel. But his wife went into surgery like a week ago, and they had to bring their own blood. They had to go and get family members to bring the blood in for the surgery, and stuff like that. Sometimes they'll, like prescription drugs, they won't give them to you in the hospital. They'll send your wife, your husband out, whatever, and you have to go to Mercury Drug and you have to pick up the prescriptions, and you can bring them back and get it administered there. You take care of that. It's just different. For us, it's like, oh, we know everything in America. We already know, oh, that's so backward. No, it's just the way it is. And if that's the way it is, then how come you get charged $100 for one Tylenol in the hospital? It was so great in America. Why do they do that kind of stuff? They pull that crap all the time. One other example, I went for my labs. They said, "Oh, you can go buy your own urine cup and bring it in." Like, I didn't do that, but you can probably get it cheaper. So they're very cost conscious, and so anyway, she fixed me up. Tell you what, I was really appreciative of that. Uh, Flora, she said, she felt like she kind of twisted her back just a little bit, but 24 hours later, she said she couldn't feel anything. Uh, they did make me go, and I included that. They made me go down the hall and get a couple of X-rays just for precaution's sake. I'm not having any issues. Uh, but I'll have to say, they really circled the wagons, took care of me. I got great medical service here in the Philippines. Oh yeah, cost me 500 or 600 pesos for my doctor's visit, which is about 11 or 12 bucks. Two X-rays, $26. Are you kidding me? My prescriptions, I don't know. I may have spent 20 bucks on the whole thing, on all the prescriptions, but we got a little bit of extra stuff. And some things are expensive, like the antibiotic cream is pretty expensive, and you just get a little bit of it, but hey, whatever. An X-ray was started at $180, one of them. And I'd have had two, and I'd had this, and I'd had that, and so, anyway, I was pretty pleased with the medical care I received. I'm doing okay. Flora's doing okay. We're getting ready to go tomorrow. We're going to fly to Coronadal City in, I guess it's South Cotabato, Mindanao. We're going to fly to General Santos City in Mindanao, take a bus, or somehow we're going to get back. Uh, and we're going to visit my niece. We're going to go see May May. So she's doing well in college, and it's Holy Week, so we got a hotel down there, 30 minutes or so from where she lives, and we're going to have some nice videos coming from that. So I appreciate you guys at the Philippines Project, the ones that watch the channel, the comments. I've got well wishers on my, get well wishes on my motorcycle accident. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate all you commenters. A lot of you folks, keep commenting. I got one guy. I should mention his name, but I can't remember. But I think he's somewhere in the Middle East right now. But he loves the Philippines too. Been commenting a lot on my videos, and so anyway, appreciate you guys. Until next time, I'm going to work on some more videos today because I can't really get around too well. My knee's just stiff a little bit, but I'll be putting up some more videos, and we'll see some stuff in Coronadal and a lot more rural areas. I'm going to call it the real Philippines. I don't know, it's all real, but it's more rural agricultural type stuff. So see you next time.